Alright, what's up guys? FallinWinterZero here to do a deck profile on Silver Thorn Empress, Venus Luquier, and the rest of the Silver Thorns. So this is the starting Vanguard, Silver Thorn Beasthammer Mill. It's a really good starting Vanguard. It's costless besides putting her into Soul. And you check top 5 cards, and you can choose up to 1 grade 1, 1 grade 2, and 1 grade 3 Silver Thorn, and put them all into Soul. And then you shuffle your deck with the rest of the cards that you didn't choose. It's just a really good starting card. If you're playing against an Arcami deck, you can put her straight into Soul after riding, so she's safe from Lynchus and all that. And she can potentially give you the cross ride ability, or the ability to ride straight into grade 3 and be cross ridden from pretty much turn 1. Then we've got the rest of the Rainbow Trigger and only triggers for Silver Thorns. The draw trigger, stand triggers, 4 of these, and then 4 of the criticals, and then 4 of the heal triggers. Pretty basic. You could try running more crit or stands instead of the draws, but personally I've found that the draw triggers have actually saved me from just not having enough guard a few times, and that hasn't let me down yet, so I figure why change it. I have the perfect guards, 4 of these for the grade 1 lineup. Pretty easy choice. Might want to drop one of them for something else, just because you don't want to have too many of them stuck in hand. And then we've got the 10k attackers, and then we have Zelma. She is a new card, Silverthorn Assistant Zelma, which is their archetype specific purple Trapezus, except she is a 7k. This card works great, allowing you to bring her out of Soul using cards like Anna and Marichka, which I will get to later, and set up full columns for Counterblast 1. How that works is when the Anna or Marichka hits, you Counterblast 1, choose her in Soul, bring her out, choose a rear guard in front of her that you probably already attacked with, put it into Soul, call it back out or a different one, and you now have a full column that swings for a pretty card, and she just goes back into Soul afterward. It's kind of a minusy play sometimes, especially with full field, but more often than not it's worth retiring your rear guard just so you can bring her out and make the extra attack, just because it adds a full attack that they're either guarding or they have to take another damage. Then we got 3 of the Silverthorn Assistant Irina. When she's called to rearguard space, you check top 2 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 Silverthorn and put it into Soul. The other one, or the remaining cards, go to bottom of deck if you choose not to call anything or put anything into Soul. That's a pretty basic card. It just lets you get extra cards into Soul in case you don't get much off of the grade 0, and it's kind of just an emergency way to deck thin or put things that you might need in there. Lastly, we have the Silverthorn Beasthammer Anna. She is a great pressure card. When whatever she's boosting hits, you counterblast 1, and then you choose a Silverthorn from Soul, call it out, and at the end of turn it goes back into Soul. Put this behind Vanguard, and unless they retire it, you will always have pressure on your Vanguard early game, which is amazing when you can make plays that allow you to make full columns with practically no field. Grade 2 lineup is, we've got the Rising Dragons, 12k attackers. You just kind of want these in Soul. 2 of the new cards, the Upright Lion, which is a, I do not remember the grade 2 specifically, but the Gold Paladin Bruno, where instead of when things are called to the field from deck, this is when things are called from the Soul that are Silverthorns other than this unit. It gains +3. He's just kind of a nice extra 9k that can become a 12k usually, and when you have abilities like Venus Luquier where you can toss one onto field and then call out for like 3 to 4 other units, he then becomes a really fat number by himself. And then we've got 4 of the Marichka, just because she's a really useful card. She's the grade 2 version of the Anna. So when she hits, you can counter Vanguard, you can counterblast 1, choose a card from Soul that's Silver Thorn, and call it out, and at the end of turn it goes back into Soul. It's a really great rushdown, power force kind of brute force build where you just try to rush them down and use your counterblast when you can early game, just to force out more damage from them or more guard. Sometimes I don't even use Venus Luquier's effect, just because I've used them all for the grade 2s and grade 1s abilities, but I don't need to use them usually at that point, just because I probably have the soul. Then for the grade 3 line, we have the 3 regular Luquiers, mainly for the cross ride. She's an okay ride, just because you can get power by activating those Annas and Marichkas. But for the most part, she's just there for the soul charge. I run 3 of them just for the general consistency of making sure that I get at least one of them in there, especially since sometimes she likes going into damage, which is kind of a problem. And then we've got 3 of the main card of the deck. One of them is thanks to my friend and one of the people on this page, Kitako, that let me borrow one of his that he pulled from Sneak Peek so I can show off all 3. So her ability is at Limit Break, you counterblast 2 Silver Thorns, its new special counterblast, and you soul charge 2 and choose up to 5 units from your soul that are Silver Thorn, and call as many of them as you want up to that 5, as long as their numbers equal 6, or the number of the grades equals 6 or less, which pretty much means a grade 2, grade 2, grade 1, grade 1, or some other form, and maybe like a grade 0 here if you need it. It's just a really, it's kind of like the Garmor of this deck, which allows you to build soul a little bit and then use it to bring stuff out and just mass field replenish. I've survived full nukes from Tempest Bolt by doing this, and I survived multiple turns of doing so using its ability twice, which won me the game because of that. It's a really good card that doesn't always need to be used, but if you happen to need it, it's there and makes your field that much better because of it. And it kind of allows you to deal with those sort of retire heavy decks that are generally issues for other types of decks. Then we've got Luquier Reverse, which is kind of the backup Vanguard card, which both are cross rides, which makes the deck still work well. Her ability being the counterblast 1, lock one of your Pale Moons, and then you get to choose a card from Soul, bring it out of Soul, and it gains +5. It's also only a counterblast 1, which I run it mainly as a secondary Vanguard after I've used the other effects and I've only got 1 counterblast left, and I'm not using it for anything. I can ride into this and still make my field plus, at least slightly. And that is the entire deck. If you guys have any questions, comments, advice, or just want to ask one of us something, or what you guys want to see in a video, let us know, and we will see you in the next video.